Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Psy-Fi Podcast with Tony.
And I'm Sam.
And today we're going to be talking about a little bit about that succulent, voluptuous succubus that everybody's been enjoying in the past 10, 20, 30 years in both media and other fiction. Today is going to be my turn to talk about one of my favorite mythological creatures, beings. Sensual ladies that comes around in a lot of media, and I'm gonna have a lot of fun doing it. Let's start. We're gonna actually take it back to about before medieval times, where some of their origins actually did start off. Their origins were supposed to be of many different versions. It started off as them being small goblin-like creatures that would, instead of walking two legs, be very voluptuous, very sexual, very feminine. You know, crawling instead of walking. They would then later on, as they progressed through history, turn into more beautiful women. Like, for example, the first succubus, as recorded, aside from all the other queens that I will not be touching on because it's a bit more complicated, Lilith.
Yeah, there we go.
Lilith has been depicted in so many ways, so many different ways, including Morgan from Deathstalkers, to anime characters, to anybody really. She has been depicted as both a small, very beautiful, very cutesy girl to a very voluptuous, very full woman that has everything going for her. Like, her parents didn't hold back when they were making her, and neither did the artists. My gosh. So, Succubus, as I said, they started off very much different from how we know them today. They were essentially monsters, demonic monsters, who were created or became who they became for the very purpose of going into people's dreams and torturing them in their dreams sexually. Now, this was for no other reason, not to please the other person, not to cause pleasure, not for any other reason, but to please themselves and to fulfill their sadistic needs. Their brother demon, Incubus, or their gender-swapped version, was the same. Now, what was the whole deal? Why would they do this? Well, nobody really knows, to be honest. Why these demons came to be. Some people explain it that succubi and incubi became a thing because of night paralysis, that they were experiencing such horrible dreams because demons were taking over their dreams, because they wouldn't be able to move, and it would feel like they were completely paralyzed, they would be unable to do anything, and it was the work of demons. Now, this became a huge issue later on in the ages. As succubi and incubi evolved, they, as I said, became more voluptuous, more sexual, more feminine, more masculine. They became very powerful in the sense of where they would take their clothes off and you would be instantly stunned and attracted to them. Now, I would like to say the Inquisition or the Church wasn't having it. Just how there were witch raids, there were succubi and incubi raids. If you were having night paralysis, for example, if you were having nightmares, it will be seen that you are corrupted by a demon or that a demon is following you. So you would get japped and, excuse my expression, but crisp. While incubi, if a woman turned, for example, if a woman was pregnant before marriage or without knowing who the father was, she would immediately be also taken as a way that she has been impregnated by an incubi. And it would also cause them to, well, let's just say it was the same way you would make a turkey. Stuffed. Bringing it back a bit. So that's the whole thing that was bad about it. That's the whole thing that made succubi and incubi such a powerful force. They were not just in media, not just in now in modern times, also in medieval times and times before that. and ages before that, where they had a huge influence on both religion and normal day life. From people that believed in them to people that didn't believe in them to people that just kind of didn't have a choice. So, I'm going to touch on a bit more on the succubi. Succubi are capable. They are strong, mentally strong. They value themselves more than they value their targets or any of their peers. They hold themselves as higher beings of some sort, and they only serve, their mother, Lilith, in this case. Now, who was Lilith? Lilith was in some mythologies, in
the Kabbalah,
Judaic Christian mythology. She was depicted as Adam's wife.
First wife.
First wife. Yeah. Now, this actually was not the case. So, unlike Eve, who kind of saw him as a leader, who, even though she went against his word, Lilith didn't really give a damn. She just kind of went, you know what? You're not the guy for me. You're peace too wee. I'm out. Peace. So she went to the Red Sea, where she saw a bunch of demons who she was really into, and so she went, this is interesting. Let me just bang every single one of these demons, and there you go. More offsprings of her came by, which were then turned into the succubi and the incubi, who later on did their own deeds and became much powerful through that way. And Lilith was, of course, the main conspirator of this cause. So, what about incubi? What is up with incubi? What is the whole deal? Why don't they show up at all or only sometimes in media? Because women are more popular in that case. I think the succubi touched on a bit more than the incubi, just because it's a woman acting more sexual. Because the people that actually receive the like this are more male than female. Also, there's of course females who enjoy this type of thing, who enjoy this type of history, mythology, or media, of course. But the incubi, I feel like, have an even deeper connection to the paranormal than the succubi. They are males. They are presumably more capable when it comes to strength, because they have more control of their powers, while incubi are just that. Self-conscious, very strong, above level-headed, just sometimes even hot-headed. There's even some cases where the succubi would fall for the person that she is trying to seduce, for the person she is with, for the person who is her prey, while incubi have never actually had that case. They have just been incubi. So, what's the connection between these two? What is the connection between these two different beings? Succubi, sometimes they say that succubi and incubi are actually the same demon, that they just swap genders or whenever they feel like. Succubi have been said to take the semen from the victims, from the male victims, and give it to the incubi that then would process it and impregnate women with it. Which is pretty twisted, but it also came out that the children who came from that seed would be born with demonic deformities, like tails, or sharper ears, or horns even, or red, purple, blue skin and red eyes. All kinds of complications. Now, where does it all lead? Where does it all lead? Where do these succubi, incubi, these demons all lead? Do they lead to one point? Why do they transform into from the goblins, from the creatures, from the disgusting creatures that would cause horrible nightmares to the victims, which they would inhibit the dreams of, the nightmares of? Why did they transform into voluptuous, very sexual, very feminine, masculine creatures? That's what we're going to talk about now. So, Sam, It's your turn.
So yeah, the interesting thing with Succubi is Lilith actually brings about two different legends. One, they say that she's also the mother of all vampires, plus the mother of all succubi, as you mentioned. So I just wanted to throw that out there because it was really interesting. And we'll talk about the vampire side of it at some other point of time in our podcast. But with Succubi, I think they are... I see them as spirits of lust. You can't really see them as anything else. Is like man's carnal lust for... Like, and this is true for the incubus as well. Is that I think it's like the primal lust in people that possibly could have brought about the succubi. At least that's what I think anyways. Same with the incubi. It's because, you know, people can be very horny, very lustful, very promiscuous.
Extreme.
Yep. And so they have this thing where it's like, okay, well, what is, like, if you go too far, what might that look like? And they probably...
True.
They probably were like, well, you know, I think it might be this type of being that will do this. And I'm not entirely sure, but I think the succubus starts in the Jewish Kabbalah.
Yes.
Right. And it goes like further into like a mythological
yes,
stories
that,
and all that.
Does it did start in the Kabbalah. The Kabbalah were the ones that kind of presented all the other queens, which are
okay. Gotcha. Oh, because she has sisters.
Lilith, yeah, she has three sisters. Yes,
right.
Who are essentially more powerful than Lilith because they're older. But Lilith has actually been transformed into many different things, including, believe it or not, one of the things we're going to be talking about, which is also one of my favorite mythological creatures, the Lamia. Lilith was actually in Greek mythology turned into Lamia, which is a half woman, half snake person, which were also very much voluptuous, very much sexual, very much attractive. They hold this high esteem for their capability and sexuality, which in modern day media has been depicted as quite a clingy character. I'm looking at you, Monster Musume, and I'm not liking what I'm seeing.
Yep. I saw that one coming.
Yeah, everybody did. And so did the rest of the hentai section. But let's keep moving on. So yeah, Succubi, personally, to me, I would say that one of the main reasons why they were created is because the existence of Asmodeus, who is the carnal sin of lust, which is basically, I'm Big Daddy Lust, you're all my children, now go spread sexual stuff. And they can be seen as more than just lust spirits. They're actually some succubi are, believe it or not, can get very attached to the person they're causing the nightmares and the dreams to the point where succubi are not allowed to love, as a matter of fact, because of their superiority complex when it comes to these situations. And
so they're like psychopaths, except lustful psychopaths.
Just lustful psychopaths, yes. They're not allowed to fornicate with somebody they love because their emotions are not allowed to get the better of them because they're only there for sexual pleasure. Now, why would this be the case? I think it's the same way as prostitutes work. You're working this job, but you're not allowed to get attached to one customer. It's the same way hostesses, is the same way escorts, is the same way prostitutes back in medieval times work. This is your job. You have to do this. This is what you'll do for the rest of your life to feed the family. You're not allowed to leave. If you fall in love with a man, you better forget him, or you accept the fact that you love him but still have to do things with other men. Which is a thing that mostly is depicted as a demonic way of treating women and females. because it just kind of looks over the fact that love conquers all. Love conquers everything. Love is strong. But in this case, the sin of lust Asmodeus, who or Lilith in this case, is just like, nah, fam, I'm sorry. Like, get that ass back here. Bring me that dough. Basically, Lilith and Asmodeus, I'm just gonna say, are the pimps of the succubus. Which is a very bad way of putting it, but it's also kind of logical. Now, what happens if a succubus actually falls in love with the person they're, torturing, giving sexual fantasies to? This is something that is not proven to have been a thing, but if a succubus falls in love with their dream host, it can happen that they might cause the person, because of the extreme shock from getting both love and affection from the succubus and sexual pleasure from the succubus, which can be to extreme levels, the person can die in mere seconds. Because of the high concentration of science here, dopamine release, and be right back. Oh, I'm back. I like that. I was weird. Because of the high concentration of dopamine release and other substances that the body releases. If you fornicate with a succubus through normal means, through just physical contact, and not through dreams, you could very much experience one of the best sexual situations ever in your life. But because this would cause your heart rate to go to extreme levels, like immediate heart attack, because
death
you would
by
have all these...
snoo.
Yeah, death by snoo. Thank you, Futurama. But yes, that is actually a way that you could die from the love of the person that you care about most. And the succubi would then either be banished or would be sent into slavery. So yeah, your turn.
Okay, so it is kind of important to note that the Japanese culture has, shall we say, much like other mythological creatures, taken some liberties with the story. And in many of those stories, they have them falling in love, but they don't have any of the death by snoo in it. So yeah, I find that interesting that people are able to, and they do it all the time. They'll take a story and then they'll make it extreme, or then they'll twist it, or they'll turn it into something they want it to be. And I think the other reason why succubi might have come into existence, or why they are a thing, was I think it might have been an early form of female empowerment. We're going to go and we're going to do our thing, and we'll screw what everybody else says. We're more important. We're going to take what we want. We're going to go and do the things that we want, and we're going to take control over all these people via our feminine seductive wiles. So that is often seen as one of the aspects of it that I've read in fiction, and that I've just generally seen about them, was that they were the first screw mankind, we are the dominant ones, we're going to treat them how we want to. And that's kind of their general attitude all around, is basically, screw you guys, we're in charge.
I do what I want, yeah. I mean, in Japanese media takes it to the extreme most of the time. But it's also not just Japanese media. When you look at even Western media or even European media, sometimes they depict even game developers, game companies from all sorts and kinds and writers, they depict succubi and incubi as, if you meet one, run or fornicate. You have two extremes. You either don't copulate with them or you are forced into copulating with them,
Yeah.
which would be, any man's dream to have this whole deal, this whole shindig with a succubus. But to be completely honest, you could still get much more out of it with a normal human being than a succubus. Just for the very reason that if you're not strong-willed, you won't survive. It doesn't matter how attractive they are. It doesn't matter how capable they are in bed. If even they are, you never know. They might just be able to cause immense pleasure just because of their bodies. Because here's the deal: one of the mythologies actually says that the entrance to the cervix, the vaginal tunnel, a matter of fact, is as cold as an ice, as ice. If you were to enter it with any parts of your bodies, would be as cold as ice. It would not be the normal sort of copulation. You would just kind of be throwing a wiener into the Antarctica. You would not be having a good time. And here's another deal. Apparently, the fluids they secrete from their vaginal glands, from the labia, are poisonous as well. They secrete urine and other unkindly substances that would not be good for consumption, unlike a normal human being, which was taken from when they were just creatures. They were supposed to be bad creatures. They were not supposed to be good creatures. They were supposed to take the dreams, to take the souls, to take whatever they could from their prey, and no good reason, of course, for no real reason, and just, this is mine now. I take this. And if it's your life, I take it. That's it. So yeah, it's kind of twisted, It's like, yes, they're voluptuous, they're attractive, they're probably very capable in bed. Nobody knows if they are, It could last 5 minutes, or it could last 5 hours, or it could last 5 years. Depends on who you are or who you ask. And I feel like this is, as you said, female empowerment. That's great. That such a strong mythological and such a strong creature, such a strong being in media has been presented as female empowerment. But sometimes they're depicted as, sometimes succubi are just transformed into normal female human beings. Sometimes they are the type of person that drinks a lot and is very sexual, very open about their attractiveness, they're very open about their sexual appeal. And sometimes it's actually a succubus with a pair of big wings, horns, amazing silky hair, smooth skin, be it red, very pale skin, whichever. Sometimes, elf-like spiky ears, demon-like spiky ears with long tails, sometimes bushy, sometimes just the one with the fork on top, the one with the little arrowhead on top. Sometimes that looks like a heart, like in the case of To Love Ru from Japanese media, where
wait, there was a succubus there?
The devil yuk demons, yes.
Huh.
Lala and her sisters, they're depicted as demons of that sort.
I did not realize that they were depicted as succubi.
Well,
over my head, because they are way too nice.
Here's the deal: if you look at their mother,
yeah,
which was, I think it was presented even in the anime. I didn't watch that far, but I did
probably
read
in
the
Darkness,
manga.
yeah,
In the second part of Darkness, might be.
Yeah.
But the manga depicted her as a woman that, if you look at her, your carnal desires would immediately pop out.
That is very true.
And that is the thing where, like, this sounds too much like Lilith.
But, like, the other thing is that it could also sound like a nymph, because nymph had the same kind of ability that if you look on a nymph, you're like, I want to do that. So I think it's just like they've taken, like, all the sexual kind of mythological beings
and just kind of morphed them together.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is normal, of course. Like, I believe that succubi weren't really succubi until, later on in mythology, in medieval times, we're just like, hey, this is an interesting concept. Let's flip the script, put it up, make them attractive, boom, instant likable figures, like in mythological beings and creatures. Until, of course, the church stepped in, and then it was hot. I'm just saying.
Well, I'm pretty sure with the church, specifically the Catholic Church in this case, they were prevented from doing certain things, so they probably had some pent-up issues, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
So they're like, whoo, we can't do this, but man, we really want to.
I really want to, yeah. Like, this, yeah, it's probably really true. It's probably really true.
Yeah.
That, look at how many pastor and priest jokes there are about priests and little boys and
yeah, and girls
and girls, like anything that's
yeah,
mildly underage, and boom, instant comedy.
yeah.
But for example, that could very much have been the case, and Martin Luther might have not put it in his little rule books. Don't do this, don't do that, don't trust the church, don't be able to buy off your sins. You sinned, and that's it. Don't be a dickhead about it. Like, you can't solve like all your issues by throwing money at it, right?
Yeah.
Like, maybe pent up sexual, aggression, you can throw money at it, boom, go to a brothel, instantly solved. Depends on how good your night was. Roll a d20, you'll figure out.
Maybe you'll create a tiefling. Who knows?
Who knows? But here's the deal. Like, we flipped the script on the Kitsune.
Yes.
So how would you flip a script on something that is already probably a flipped script? How would you make a succubus not a succubus?
Ooh. So basically, how do you make them not lustful?
How do you make them have the powers that they have, but not be the sexual creatures that they are?
Oh, okay, that's an interesting thought.
How would they be able to compress their powers, not be insanely seductible, not be able to enter people's dreams, and not be, well, what they are, succubus. Soul-sucking, semen-stealing, semen demons.
Essence stealers.
Essence stealers, anything, really. Shapeshifters. Here's another thing. Succubi and incubi can actually change the shape of the person to fit the person's likes and dislikes the most. To whoever they're looking for, because they want to get the most out of the person's sexual enjoyment, and because they want to get the most enjoyment out of the person. So if a person is aroused and the person that they're with, the succubi that they're with, looks exactly like their proper counterpart, like how they want their perfect partner to be, they will give it their all during the intercourse, and they will express themselves in a better way, in a more sexual way. They'll be enjoying themselves more, and that's when they'll give even more of their, that's when they relax even more, and that's when their carnal desires would pop up even more, is when they're having the intercourse with something they see as the perfect being, as something they see as, this is the partner. Now this can be any any sort of being or creature, be it whatever. It can be, it can either be a creature, it can be a human, it can be an animal, whichever. It could be an underage girl, it can be an old man, whatever. They will look deep into the desires of the human they're targeting, and they will pop up from the corner. This, of course, is supposed to be in real life. This is how succubi do it in some folkloric tales, where they discover the person, and they're like, you're pretty hot. I'm pretty sure I can get something from you. Let me just seep into your nightmares, seep into your dreams, see what you really like, see what you really enjoy, see what you would see as the perfect person. Boom. Transform into them. The next day, introduce themselves out of nowhere. And here's
just continue. I've just got some theories.
Okay. So, and then this is another case. So, this is where the whole love part starts. Let's say a succubi or an incubi transforms into the perfect person for their target. What if the person isn't so much of a sexual person, but they just like what they like? And they just meet this perfect person right in front of them, this perfect being that fits their description in life, who they want to be with. And they're just like, I want to wife this girl, right? I don't want to take her back home and immediately, stuff her full. No, I want to have a good time.
No waifu, no laifu.
Yeah, no wife and no laifu. So they take her to dinner. They pay for everything. They're having a good time. Probably waste too much money. They're laughing. You're laughing because Succubus wants to get something from this night, of course, which is basically Thailand. and then out of nowhere, they start enjoying themselves. Maybe they sit with the prey too long. Maybe they sit with the person. Maybe they sit with the person that they're trying to seduce too long. They open up themselves too much. They let their guard down. Like, if a succubus truly exists in a human form, in the way that they're depicted, they have to have a soul. Even if they're demons, they have to have at least a shred of a soul. Even if they say demons don't have a soul, Lucifer had a soul.
Well, he's a spirit. He's already a soul.
Exactly. So Lilith as well. She was born. Well, Lilith. She was born as the first wife to Adam, but then she just kind of,
in the mythology, anyways.
Yeah, and then she just kind of took off, and then she mated with demons, and now she's there. So it could very much be that the succubi or the incubi just kind of meet a person they're targeting that they think could find value from either their soul or their semen or their essence, whichever. And they start talking, they start discussing, they start going over strategies, or hey, maybe next time we can go here and here, or like here and here. And especially in modern times, we don't know who just wants to get with you and who wants to have a serious relationship with. Like, half of the people on Tinder might as well be succubus or incubus. You never know. Because most of the time when you look at dating apps, what do you see? This, I can do this and this.
Narcissism.
Yeah, it's full of it, right? And people like that. People like confidence. People like this attractivity where it's like an attractive person, boom, confidence, boom, instantly date them, But, and sometimes there's people who are just like, I'm not really looking for a one-night stand. I just really want to meet somebody. And those are the people that the succubus would target. People that, like, they're easy. That say they're not looking for a one-night stand, but maybe if I seduce them, this works out. And that's where they get got. That sounds wrong. That's where they get got. They meet this person in person. They meet this man, female, male, female person. They meet, I don't know, let's say Stacy, right? And Incubus meets Stacy, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna get this over with. I'm like attractive as shit. She likes Chris Pratt, Chris Pine, all the Chris Hemsworth, right? Like, I have the Thor hair and I have the abs, They go to dinner, they start talking, and all of a sudden Stacy isn't just more of a, like, one night stand. The Incubus, like, sure, they're not as emotionally depicted as the succubus, the succubi, but it's still, like, there has to be something there. So they just go, well, oof. What now? Like, this was my target, but I really want to spend more time with her. If they can already transform themselves into human beings and, be able to live in the human realm, if this were, of course, the case for flipping the script, they would just kind of immediately crash and burn, because they would be expecting, I'm the perfect person for this being, for this human, and yet we're just talking and having a good time, laughing, telling jokes. Why is this happening? I've never felt like this before. This has never happened. And it would be just like a shock to a person. It would just be the same effect as, let's say, you're somebody who sleeps around a lot. You can get anybody, you can sleep with anybody, you're hot, you have long hair, like, flowing down, like, no body hair, like the smoothest human being ever. Like you could be made out of butter. God damn, I can't believe it's not butter. Like, but all of a sudden you meet this person that just kind of ticks with you every level. Like their past is similar to yours. You're like taste in music, taste in shows, anything. It's just, it fits so well. Like the missing puzzle to your fulfilled life just kind of fits in. And all of a sudden you're like, damn, I'm done. I want to sit down. I want to have a family. I want to have a life with this person. And then you're there. You're perfect for them. You're perfect for you. Even with their imperfections and your imperfections, you're just kind of, this seems nice. And it could be the same for Succubus and Incubus, you know? They're made to be pleasure demons. You know? Semen demons. Mercy from Overwatch. What?
No, she's an angel, not a succubus.
That's not what Blizzard said with that Succubus skin.
Well, I mean, you know, fallen angel.
Fallen angel? No, but for example, they just kind of go on a date, like not even that much. They just, and it's enough. Maybe, you know, the next day, the succubus or the incubus gets overpowered by their partner. If that would happen, like a lesser like version of them kind of gets overpowered by somebody who has experience and knows their way around genitals, and all of a sudden the succubus wakes up the one completely wasted.
Oh, that would be really good.
And it would be just like, hold on, like what happened? And the next thing you know, the succubus is laying in bed. She wakes up, something sizzling from the kitchen, fresh eggs. What the hell's going on? The guy walks in. Hey, beautiful, did you sleep well? Man, it was sure nice yesterday. And that's when it clicks. Why am I sitting in a hellish pit with a shitload of these people who are just like, when a person like this exists? And here's the deal. They fall in love with this person, they get real close, but then, because they get real close, they start getting careless, and boom, comes off their mask, and then they show their true self. The succubi and the incubi they are. What then? You met a golden quota for the person you're with. What if they don't like you the way you are? If you are a demon, if you are a succubi, a succubus, or an incubus, you're just kind of stuck there, hoping that the person you were with is actually a good person that would accept you no matter what. And it works the same way. It works the same way with teenagers and people that meet humans, that meet partners in real life. You know, some people lie about who they are. They lie about what they do in life. They lie about what they're capable of. And sometimes they get lucky and they get away with a lie, but sometimes they meet that one perfect person that they can't just bring themselves to lie to. And all of a sudden, one picture, two picture, left your phone unlocked accidentally, forgot to delete the chat with somebody else, and wait, you used to do this? This is who you really are? What the hell? Why? Why didn't you tell me this? What? Why is this happening? Or like somebody lies about you, says something stupid about you, says something that's not true, and all of a sudden your partner becomes much more suspicious of you. And it can break and make a relationship, which I feel like succubi and incubi probably would suffer if they became human, if they became who they are, human, who they would be if they were brought down, if their powers were brought down. They would be probably some of the more, or the most heartbroken mythical creatures that were transformed in humans, that would be, in a way, demi-humans as well. They would just be, you know, you're half demon. You're supposed to like steal my soul and eventually kill me. How can I love somebody like that? Is it even possible to love somebody like that without not being sure if you actually love them or you just feel lust for them? You know? And there's a show, there was an anime who depicted this really well. It's it's about a teacher, I think it was a biology teacher, who is in this high school, and all of a sudden demi-humans start popping into the world. And there's a cute little vampire girl, and there's a cute little headless horseman girl. There's a snow woman, and then there's a succubus who is also a professor who has to like everything covered up so she doesn't secrete her. Well, how there's people who are literally walking biceps. She's a walking aphrodisiac flower, basically. Like she presses her breasts together too much, boom, instant erection. You don't have a choice. That's basically how it works. And they depicted her, if she falls asleep too close to a human, she doesn't have a choice. She will invade the people around her's dreams, if she wants it or not. So she has to live in seclusion, far away from people. And I feel like that's a really good depiction of them. That's like, you don't have a choice. This is your life. You're a demi-human. You have these powers, but you can't control them because you are not a full succubus, not a full incubi. You're just a demi-human. You're just human with these powers. You can't control them. They're a part of your life. How do you find a partner? And the professor, the biology professor, is depicted as this strong-willed, really nice guy who just really wants to take care of these demi-humans and help them in every way possible. But he is also a guy, and he has desires. And perpetually, this succubus falls in love with him. And all of a sudden, what if he doesn't like me? What if my files aren't working on him? Hell yeah, I can be with this guy. But slowly and slowly and slowly, she starts falling more and more in love with him, and she starts getting panicked. What if he has no attraction to me at all? What the hell? And then, she's just kind of lost. Like, they meet a strong-willed person that they really like, but they're not sure of themselves. That would cause them to become even more lost. It would be like, what if the person that I want to be attracted can't be attracted? What if they're immune? What if everything I have that I want to give to this person, my attractiveness, my aphrodisiac, my sexual expertise that are given to me by God knows what, don't work on him, on this person or on her? What then? Am I not good enough? And it starts building and building and building, and could perpetually lead to deep issues for succubi and incubi if they become humans. That's at least the way I see it.
So we were talking about flipping the script, and I just got a third idea. And wow. I'll start with the third idea first, and it is a person with a strong addiction to something. It doesn't have to be lust, but it would be a strong addiction to something. For example, there is an anime called Kakegurui, which deals with this girl who really, 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 really loves gambling. She doesn't care if she loses, she doesn't care if she wins, but she's more focused on winning, but she finds thrill in losing as well. She finds it terribly exciting, and she'll look at what they're doing and she'll almost get aroused by it, because she'll get so excited at the prospects of either losing or winning. And like just taking control or other people controlling her, it's just this thing that attracts her. And so I would see it as like a person who is attracted to something similar, who when they see it, they get kind of aroused or excited by it. So that's the one idea that I had that like could be depicted, like wouldn't be a succubi, but had the succubi like nature of being excited or exciting someone due to an addiction that they may have. Yep.
There is an anime that is very close to that, which is a gambling anime.
Yeah, Kakegurui.
Kakegurui, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I just mentioned.
Yeah. And also, I think Shokugeki no Soma borderlines on it as well.
Yes, and Gambler Fish.
Yeah.
But that wasn't an anime, that was more of a manga. But even though like he had a clear goal and he was willing to lose certain, there was this excitement about it, this like forbidden excitement, this forbidden risk, this, oh, I shouldn't be doing this, but it's exciting, much like being with a succubus, oh, I shouldn't be doing this, but it's exciting, type deal going on. The other thought I had was, what if it was like some girl who, and if you really, this is like if you really want to flip the switch, or switch, whatever, is if, flip the script, there we go, is if she appeared pure, if she appeared innocent, if she appeared like this nice, sweet little girl, or not necessarily little girl, I mean, sometimes it could be, who knows, but like this like nice girl that you come across, and like seems absolutely sweet, absolutely pure, and you're like, man, this is waifu material. And then you find out that when it comes to sex or that kind of stuff, she becomes extremely kinky. Like, things you wouldn't even imagine to be in this supposedly pure girl becomes like this beast in bed, like this like embodiment of sexual energy when you like sleep together. So that was like the second idea that I had. And then the last idea is, what if it was like a person who people tend to kind of idealize or fantasize about? Like, what if it was that hot secretary? What if it was that hot teacher? What if it was that hot businesswoman who may be like cold, or maybe calculating, maybe cunning, or they have this plan set in place so that eventually they'll nab you in their net. They're just focusing on like manipulating certain aspects of your life so that they can draw you in. Or then say if it's a businesswoman who like owns her own business, where she's able to manipulate, because that's another thing that I'm pretty sure succubi are able to do, is manipulate other people to at least some extent. Is if she was able to manipulate the room, not with powers, mind you, but like with her cunning and wit, and just be like, I want you guys to invest in my business, I want you guys to buy my stuff, and convinces the entire room to fall in line with what she wants. And like, she could be this like super attractive businesswoman who is using several manipulating techniques to get what she wants, while not at all caring about their side of the bargain.
Yeah.
So those were my kind of three ideas. So
I want to look at the business one, like immediately.
Okay.
The last one where like she's, or it, in this case as well, could be, for example, the demons want to, like, we want to connect more with human, more with humans.
Right.
Or we're getting thrown out of hell. So what the fuck do? They create a company with a bunch of attractive, very capable beings that could just go around the world, connecting different companies to theirs just because of their sheer looks and capabilities and sexual prowess and whatever. A few handies down the desk sometimes go a long way. And I feel like that actually would be a good idea. I think that somebody or someone could make that into a good idea, into a good, how do I say this, into a good story if someone picked it up. Right. Using demon capabilities, using succubus or incubus capabilities to attract, to create a business, to create a large business, right? Like,
to become like a huge conglomerate.
Yeah, like a conglomerate, like all over the world, right?
Yeah.
That could be a possibility. But, maybe it's just a pyramid scheme, Who
knows?
Who knows? I mean, pyramid schemes are all over the place lately, so might as well be the case. But here's the deal. The one about the gambling.
Yes.
The one about the gambling, I feel like the addiction one.
Yeah.
That one is depicted actually in in the rules of, well, what the seven deadly sins are. They're addicted.
Right.
They're described as lust is addicted to sex, and is the addiction to sex and wanting sexual pleasure and wanting to give sexual pleasure. Gluttony is depicted of as
Wanting
you
to
may
always
have a big ass
consume.
burger, just
Yeah.
consume anything that your body can consume, even if it can't consume. You just want to eat, eat, eat. Anger is anger is depicted as you're always angry. You always want to be angry. You always want to punch something. Wrath is you're always so big, so powerful, so right.
Yeah.
You're just like all over the place. Envy is you always want the thing that people want. You know, you always want the thing that people have that you do. You know, like you always, I want to have the most. I want to have the gold. I want to have this. I want to have that.
Whatever
You know?
you have, I want it.
Yeah, and like or like I mean, you're envious, and greed is like the one where it's just like, give me everything.
Yeah.
Give me everything. I want this. Like it's not like envy. That's like, you have that, I want it. No, like greed is just like everything. Give me everything. Give me the money. Give me like avarice. So much avarice everywhere. So
Yep.
much cash flowing into. And I feel like if you took the seven deadly sins, it doesn't have to be just the succubus and incubus, and you turn them into a human company, and you were like, succubi, you're in charge of getting
Clients.
the male audience. Incubi, you're in charge of getting the female audience. Greed, you're in charge of the money intake. You can do whatever the fuck you want. Envy, you're in charge of discovering what other companies are doing, what you're capable of, what they can do,
And then taking it from them.
and then taking it from them, and then flipping the script on it, making it your own.
Yeah.
Wrath and anger, you are going to be the big powerhouses that kind of make our company look terrifying and very strong, very capable. In gluttony, you're gonna consume.
But what about
Every-
sloth?
Oh yeah, sloth. Well, sloth in this case would just be. What would sloth be? Yeah.
Yeah, like I think sloth would be like that super lazy person, the super like chill, super whatever, super like I'm too tired to do this, and
Yeah.
they'll probably be the ones delegating everything. They'll be
Yeah.
like, I don't want to do this. You go and do that. You go and do that. You go do that. I'm just going to stay here and relax.
Yeah. And I feel like, actually, as a matter of fact, now that I think about it, a lot of characters, shows, TV shows, movies, media are depicted from Seven Deadly Sins and the seven heavenly
Virtues.
what are they called? Virtues, right?
Yep.
There's a mixture between the both. Like a character will have a sin, like extreme laziness, but they'll have the virtue of fertility, or
Well, fertility isn't a virtue; it's chastity.
yeah, chastity, and like they will have that. Like I feel like characters are combined between those two. Like they have a bad thing, but they also have a good thing. They have a bad thing, but they also have a good thing. Like they're lazy, but they're sweet. Like they're lazy, but they're creative. Like they're lazy or they're lustful, but they're the nicest person you'll ever meet. Like they're angry all the time, but they're an amazing artist. Like they know how to take care of people as well, you know. And it just kind of, I feel like humans are depicted from those two as well. You know, like yes, it's supposed to be a bit of sin and a bit of virtue. He's a perfect person. Nobody's perfect with just a bunch of sin. You see that? Nobody's perfect with just a bunch of virtue. Because you get an airhead and a snowflake, you know. Because it doesn't matter how rightful you are, how righteous you are, how God blessed you are. If you're so good and you're so full of yourself, somebody proves you wrong, you're gonna flip the switch on yourself and you're gonna get angry. You're gonna want to defend what you believe in. And I feel like that's why the bad side of the human, the sin side of humans, is what keeps us in check, most of us. Because we sin, and when we don't sin, is because we have our own sins, be it lust, anger, be it wrath, be it anger, be it whatever, be it any of the seven deadly sins. the virtues balance it out. Or if you have a virtue like, chastity, like you're the purest person ever, like on the outside, but you're lustful on the inside, right? You really want to get this over with. You really want to, for example, young girls lose your virginity, young boys lose your virginity, but you're also like, no, I don't think that way, And it just kind of works the same way, And I feel like succubi and incubi, if they were humans, if they worked as like people in a company, or if they were little girls or anybody from it, somebody very attractive, I feel like they would actually, from the sins that they are, from the sins that they depict, from what they depict, the sin of lust, as they lived as humans, would slowly gain a virtue. Now, what would happen if an essentially sinful being who is full of sin gains a virtue? Would they be eradicated? Because, of course, virtues are holy, and you're not a holy being. Instant ash, or would they turn human? What would happen if both sides?
I think they're able to act out those virtues. They may not necessarily exude them, but in order to deceive somebody, they will pick a virtue, and they will pretend like they'll have a virtue, and people are like, wow, look how virtuous they are, but really they're like this like super mean monster who wants to just really kill you.
Yeah, but for example, what if they gain a virtue, like a legitimate virtue? Like, let's say this lustful being of a succubi all of a sudden is like, yeah, maybe whoring myself out isn't such a good idea. Like,
so
what
become
happens
chaste, then? Cancel each other out.
Yeah, like, like
they become Lala.
Yeah, pretty much. Unfortunately, but pretty much, Wait, well, it has good and bad sides, to be honest.
Yep.
She does support the harem, though, which I'm not a big fan of.
Well, I mean, you'll find this with a lot of royals, and I do mean a lot of royals, that they do support this harem mentality, and like for people who aren't part of royalty, or at least like the modern day type of royalty, they'll be like, this is a little weird. So I understand why she supports it, but I also understand why he's apprehensive about it. So it makes sense.
Like, he's just a normal human guy. Like, he didn't want this. Like, all of a sudden, a shuttle landed on him when he was about to propose to the person he loved most, and all of a sudden, oh, look, your life has turned into a shit show.
Yep.
You
say hello to 20 girls.
And all of a sudden, just like one character trope after the other thrown at him, right? Like beautiful, busty demon girl from a different planet. You're the childhood friend that you've been into for a long time. Even your sister's into you. Like, just throwing everything at him. How do you focus during that? All of a sudden, there's a little girl living with you that was birthed from a plant. What are you supposed to do?
Yeah.
Right? And people are like, he's so incapable. Bitch, in what case would you be able to focus? Like, your life would change so drastically, your head would blow up. Right? Yep. It's just like, how am I supposed to do this, right? And then all of a sudden, this demon girl's father is an almighty warmonger from space. That's not good.
Well, he also united everything. And you can't unite everything if you don't, like, war with everything and be like, you're either going to, be peaceful people and ally with us, or you're going to fight with us, in which case I'm going to have to destroy you.
Yeah. Which she did.
Yeah.
Exactly that. So, yeah. It's, in this case, there's so many depictions of these succubi and incubi that it doesn't matter how much we flip the script on it, how much we try to change it. There's people who have probably thought the same way and have already created it. It's just somehow under the radar. But the deal is that even if it's not a fresh idea, it's an idea out of itself. And the Succubi were probably also an idea. They were just like, we need an explanation for whatever the hell is going on with sex dreams, whatever the hell wet dreams are, right? Because this cannot be normal. Like, I cannot be having intricate dreams about having sexual intercourse when I've never had it, right?
Like, why do I keep waking up with a boner?
Like, for example, yeah, like at some point you would be a soldier in the army where you're just like, Humpty Dump, spears and shields, pierce a guy in the chest, and suddenly you wake up the next morning to go to war. Wow, now there's a spear in my pants. What the hell? Or females, I am, may the Holy Lord please me, I am all holy, right? And then the next day, why is there a puddle in my pants? It works the same way. I'm not, this is very mean to say to nuns. I respect them. They do their work well. But it's for comedy effect, okay? Like, this is just for jokes. But, for example, they had to have an explanation. Mythology was created so we can have an explanation for the extremes, for the things that we were unable to explain with science back then because science didn't exist.
Well, that's a different story. One that's I have kind of issues with, shall we say. But that's, like I said, a different subject altogether.
Because we have to look into everything else that comes with it, like alchemy and the rest.
Yeah. And then, like, what the Romans did, and what the Greeks did, and what the Greeks invented, and what the Romans invented, and what all these other cultures invented that were suddenly, with the Dark Ages, disappeared, and you're like, what the heck?
How are we supposed to talk about this when there's nothing left?
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
But, do you have anything else to say about the Succubus and Incubi?
No, I think that's pretty much covered.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet. Just like Succubi and Incubi, a bit of sweet, a bit of salty, and a bit of sour.
That's what she
Leaves
said.
A bad taste.
I mean, what?
Yeah. Leaves a bad taste in your mouth. When you mention them, when you talk about them, when you see them on TV, or any screen for that matter, even on your phones, I know you're watching. Thank you for watching. I've been Tony.
I've been Sam.
And I hope you had a good time, like you did last time, which you probably did. See you next time when we talk about...
Likely dragons. Quite likely dragons.
Either likely dragons or a different topic.
Yeah. We'll figure it out. See you later.
See you later. Have a good time.